Good evening. My name is Elisa Olson, and I'm the Director of Communications for the city. We are very grateful to all of you for joining us this evening for the City of Corpus Christi's Community Input Session about the proposed fiscal year 2025-26 budget. We really appreciate that you took time out of your busy schedules to come visit with us and share your feedback. Tonight is an opportunity for you to learn more about the budget and ask your questions and share your thoughts directly with city leadership. The proposed budget outlines the city's priorities for the coming fiscal year, but it will not be final until it is reviewed and adopted by City Council in September. So your voice really does matter in this, and this timing is great. This is the first of 7 community input sessions that we'll be doing over the next month or so across all council districts in the city. Each session is scheduled for 1 hour and will be divided up into 3 parts. So it will start with some remarks in a video, and that'll be fairly brief, and then it'll be followed by a Q&A, so you'll have an opportunity to come up and ask your questions. And then we'll have, at the end, the last half of the event will be an open house, and we have some key departments in the back, and you'll be able to just kind of walk around and have some one-on-one FaceTime with them and ask them your questions directly. So we'll begin with a few words from Council Member Cantu, who's here in just a few minutes, followed by a brief video highlighting key points about the budget and remarks from our city manager, Peter Zanoni. Once the remarks are complete, we'll open the floor for questions. If you'd like to ask a question when we open that, the microphone is right here, and you'll line up in front of the microphone. We do ask that people that live in this district be allowed to go first. Each person will have 2 minutes to speak, and we'll be using a timer just to make sure that everybody that's here has an opportunity to say something. We do ask that you please be respectful and courteous when speaking. And then at 6:30, we'll begin the open house session. If there are any questions remaining to be asked, we do have comment cards. They're over here at a table. So you can always, if you prefer not to speak in front of everyone and you'd like to write it down, or if we run out of time, you can write your question down. Give us your contact information, and we'll make sure that the appropriate department gets that question so that they can respond to you one-on-one. And with that, I think that's it. Please allow me to introduce our District 3 Councilman, Eric Cantu.
Hey guys, thanks for coming. I'm your council member for District 3, Eric Cantu, and I just wanted to say thank you for coming. Thank you for city staff for doing this. Ask all the questions you guys want to city staff. Any complaints, Mark Scott, Roland Bayard is right there. So that's the complaint department. Thank you to our city manager and of course our city staffs. So thank you guys for coming. You have any questions, I'm here till it ends. Thank you.
City of Corpus Christi's proposed financial year 2025-2026 budget focuses on the essential services that support daily life and long-term progress in our city. Each year, the city develops a balanced budget through a months-long process that includes financial forecasting, internal planning, departmental review, and city council oversight. Public input is also a key part of this process. This year, a preliminary forecast was reviewed with City Council on April 29, showing a $7 million gap between projected revenues and expenses, driven by reduced property tax revenue due to increased homestead exemptions, the elimination of the street user fee, flat sales tax revenue, and rising service delivery costs tied to inflation and contractual obligations. The city was able to close this gap by increasing fees for service and reductions in expenses by identifying efficiencies and savings. The proposed budget remains balanced. It upholds the city's strong financial standing, backed by multiple credit rating upgrades over the last 6 years and revenue gains through renegotiated industrial agreements. The fiscal year 2025-2026 proposal concentrates on 4 key areas. First, streets. Since 2019, the city has invested over $695 million in street infrastructure across all 5 districts. A major focus has been on what is now the Rapid Pavement Program, or RPP, which has restored more than 100 center lane miles of neighborhood streets, bringing long overdue improvements directly to residents' doorsteps. These improvements not only enhance safety and mobility, but also raise the overall quality of life in neighborhoods across Corpus Christi. In fiscal year 2025-2026, additional funding is proposed to continue this progress, prioritizing the streets residents use every day. Second, public safety. The city has expanded police and fire staffing, opened a dedicated police training academy, and upgraded emergency response capabilities. In the last 6 years, the Corpus Christi Police Department and Fire Department have grown to over 500 police officers and 450 firefighters, the largest force in our history. In FY 2025-2026, the proposed budget includes funding for 5 additional police officer positions and 5 new firefighter positions, strengthening our ability to serve a growing community. For police, we've added patrol units, modern technology, body-worn cameras, and advanced training to enhance safety and transparency. The new Police Training Academy has strengthened recruitment and officer readiness. For fire, we've increased staffing, are actively replacing aging stations, and have invested in new fire engines, ladder trucks, medic units, and rescue equipment. Significant investments have equipped both departments with state-of-the-art gear and communication systems to keep our community safe. The proposed budget maintains support for personnel, equipment, and training. Third, water and wastewater systems. Water security remains a long-term priority for the city. The proposed budget continues to invest in improvements that ensure a reliable water supply and resilient infrastructure for the future. These investments support essential maintenance, replacement of aging systems, and planning for future growth. Recent upgrades have strengthened our capacity to deliver safe, dependable water and wastewater services. This year's proposed budget builds on that progress, supporting infrastructure modernization and planning efforts to meet the needs of a growing community. Together, these efforts form a resilient strategy to deliver reliable water access for the region. In addition, recent capital improvements have elevated the reliability and strength of our city's water systems. This year's proposed budget includes further investment to modernize aging infrastructure and support long-term capacity planning. Fourth, quality of life and community well-being. The proposed budget includes additional funding for animal care services to support shelter operations and improve service delivery. It also includes funding for a new full-time position focused on homelessness response and coordination, strengthening the city's efforts in addressing this complex issue. These additions reflect continued attention to areas that impact day-to-day quality of life in our community. Together, these priorities reflect a disciplined approach, focusing on what's essential, what's sustainable, and what serves the greatest number of residents. The proposed fiscal year 2025-2026 budget is a responsible plan built on financial stability, a focus on core services, and long-range planning.
All right, how'd y'all like that video? That's pretty good, right? Yeah. Just so you know, that was done in-house, so that was done with our staff. We didn't have to pay any outside group. Sometimes we get that question. So if I haven't met you before, I'm Peter Zanoni, the city manager, and we're glad to be here this evening. I could stand up here and talk for a while, but I'm not going to do that because tonight we are here to listen to you, and this is your night tonight, so I don't want to talk too much. Let me just say a few things. One, I want to thank Councilman Cantu. We're in his district. Thank you for being here tonight, Councilman. And we have Councilman Mark Scott and Roland Barrera as well from our city council, so we want to thank them for coming out. So I'm going on 6.5 years having the fortunate opportunity to be the city manager. And in each of the past 5 years, we have come out to the community after I have proposed the budget to the city council so that we can get community input on this budget proposal. By the city charter, I'm required to present a proposed budget to city council. And then between the proposal and the adoption on September 9th, Pretty much for the past 5 years, we've had the same lineup, which is about 4 to 5 weeks of council input. So this morning, as an example, we had our first budget workshop with the city council. We have 3 more to go over the next 3 weeks. More importantly for you, though, tonight is the first of 7 community engagement sessions. And so we're coming out because we want to hear what you think about the budget. And I had the opportunity to interview with KIII, who is here, our news station, and the reporter asked me, why does this matter? You know, what comes of these meetings? And it matters if you look at the record for the past 5 years, what the community has told us in these sessions makes it in the budget. When there's consensus across the 5 districts, which we tend to hear, that gives us reason to then recommend to City Council changes to the budget, whether it's additions or subtractions, less fees, whatever it is. Generally, across the 7 meetings, we hear a consensus themes, and that makes it in the budget. So what you're going to tell us tonight and over the next 6 meetings really matters, and it does make it into the budget if there's consensus across the community. So we're glad you're here this evening. We have a great program that our communications team put together. We have about 15, 20 minutes to do this portion of listening here, and I'll try to answer questions. We have many, many department heads here with us as well. Our council members can answer the questions as well. And then after that, we have our breakout sessions, which will give you an opportunity to have more one-on-one dialogue with some of the experts that help run these departments in our city. So with that, Ms. Elisa, we ready to go? Okay. So come on, yeah, go ahead. You want to say? Okay.
Yeah, so if you have some questions for us, we ask that you just line up at the microphone right here and take turns, and we'll answer them.
Nieves Montalvo from District 3, right here in Crestmont. And my question is, y'all talked about acquiring the Rockport or something gas
Right.
deal or whatever, right? Now how, and then it's gonna be $5 million something,
Right.
how's it gonna be paid for?
Right, yeah, so is this thing on? There we go. Okay, so the gentleman, if you couldn't hear, we had a little issue with the mic there. Recently, City Council approved the City of Corpus Christi Gas Department acquiring the Rockport gas system, and it was about $5 million. That will be purchased through gas sales in Rockport. And so through their payments, we'll be able to pay what we're gonna issue some short-term debt to buy the system, and then that will be repaid. I don't want to say it too loud here, but Rockport's, by buying that gas system, we will actually make money that'll benefit all gas customers, keeping rates lower. The rates that they pay in Rockport today will remain in place. And so the purchase price is low enough, their rates are high enough that over time, we'll actually have a little bit of profit from that transaction, helping all ratepayers.
Well, my concern is that this is the city of Corpus Christi, and they have the national gas department and everything for the city of Corpus Christi and stuff.
Right.
Why would the city want to go out and acquire something else? You know, you have old infrastructure and stuff like that that's gonna
Right.
fall apart
Yeah.
later
right.
on, and then who's gonna pay for it? Not those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, so
Right.
it didn't make sense to me why you acquire something and 5.5 million, and then you're saying there's a budget problem. We have to realign, and a bunch of departments have to go and
Yeah.
renegotiate, do all this other stuff.
Right.
But yet you're spending 5 million
Yeah.
on something external to the citizens of Corpus Christi.
Right.
So
Yeah,
that's,
right.
that's my concern.
No, that's good. Let me help you understand it. So in the city, our budget, the proposed budget is 1.6 billion, right? And so in that big budget, there's numerous accounts, if you will, or we call them funds. The gas operation is separate from the general fund, where we budget police and fire and property and sales tax revenue. So the gas is a standalone enterprise. It could almost be taken out of the city's budget, and it runs on its own with the revenues from the gas sales. So while our property tax revenues are less and sales tax is flat, gas sales are a constant. There's no issue in that fund. It is a healthy fund, and so we're not taking away from streets. We're not hiring police officers. We're not having any impact to parks. It's a standalone business. and it's performing well. And we have a great leader there, Bill Mahaffey. And so that operation, the assets in there and the infrastructure is well maintained, very well maintained. And so what we expect is that Rockport's system will get up to par with their rates over time. The other answer is that Rockport actually asked us to consider to buy it. We are kind of the big brother in the region here, and we have to take that seriously from time to time. And so a smaller Rockport sees how well our gas system is running, and they want gas service too. And they know that if a private entity went there, their rates would go way up. And so we're doing our part as a regional provider, and it's very similar to our water, where we provide water not only to 350,000 people here in Corpus Christi, but another 150,000 in 6 additional counties. So it's very much keeping in that in line with that business approach.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Great questions.
Good afternoon. My name's Tina Butler. I believe I'm in area 2, probably 3, I think. But I'm here, twofold questions.
Okay.
The first one, today the council mentioned about, I believe, going up on the fees to rent the park, like Water's Edge Park.
Right.
As the treasurer for our group, which is called the Texas Association of Black Personnel in Higher Education, we have had a Juneteenth festival every year since the year of 2018, and I serve as treasurer and have served in that capacity since then. And there was some misleading information that was provided to the council today about the Juneteenth festival, one about the cleanup. There is a $450 fee that you have to apply for the permit. Then there is the hourly fee, and then there's also a deposit. And if you do not return the park as it was provided to you, that fee for staff or cleanup or whatever is charged to the deposit.
Right.
And that was not mentioned today, but Juneteenth was used as an example, and that was untrue. Because as the treasurer, I am the one who makes sure that everything is clean. We also provide our own dumpster and our own security. So hearing that those things are provided to people who are using the park, that was untrue as well. So I'm here to say that I hope, such as Ms. Vaughn, Councilwoman Vaughn mentioned, we are taxpayers, and we are a small nonprofit. The city never supports this only one black event that happens every year since the year 2018. I believe I got like $500 one year. We bring in over 22,000 people, and this year we had 5 hotels, and we get no help from the city. My daughter and I do a lot of grant writing. So I am hoping that the city does not go up on these fees, because being a small nonprofit, that is the bulk of the money that we raise. In addition, hot funds were mentioned. We also apply for hot funds, which is the hotel occupancy tax.
Right.
Since we're bringing in all this, people to the area in economic development and not getting any support from our city, one thing that I would like to suggest is that we not have to turn around and give you those hot funds back, because the maximum amount that you can get is $15,000. And then we have to turn around and pay you for the park and pay you for the permit and get insurance, pay you for the hourly fee and the deposit. So we're just turning around and giving it right back to you. In addition to that, I think that recipients of your city hot funds should maybe have the fees waived since we're using your park, and that way we're not turning around and giving it back to you.
Okay.
So that's all I have.
Ms. Butler, I'll talk to you offline, but there is in our hotel occupancy tax fund there are funds to help pay for fees for events or certain elements of an event.
The
Yeah.
Arts and Cultural Committee is the one
no,
I'm
there's another
speaking of.
one called, it's the GIP, is an acronym for it, but that's something we could have you apply to as well.
Okay.
But our apologies if we misrepresented. Robert Dodge here, the Parks Director.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
want to say, because
Yeah.
one being that we're African-American group, we
Right.
always encounter stuff. So me as a treasurer, I always make sure I take pictures before we set up
Okay.
and after, so that we can get our full refund back.
Okay, good. We'll talk to Robert Dodd, and Sergio's over there as well.
And I just want to add, Mr. Dodd, last year and this year, the city did waive our fees, but a sponsorship from the city would be better, especially if we're bringing in
Okay.
22,000 people to the area.
Absolutely. We
Thank you.
appreciate you doing that. Thank you for being here tonight.
Hello, my name's Alex Benavides, and I'm from District 3. My first question is, we keep mentioning the balance in the budget. Because this morning at the workshop, we went over a lot of revenues that were coming in through fees and other such things. Were those already calculated towards the budget to balance the budget? Or are we already balanced before any new incoming fees?
Yeah, right. So the additional fee adjustments that were discussed this morning at the City Council workshop, those adjustments or increases were included in this balanced proposed budget. So they're already assumed to balance the budget.
Because to me, that doesn't feel like a balanced budget. It feels like you made a budget and then you're saying, how are we going to make this balance work? Oh, let's put tons of fees on what I feel is a personal attack on the most impoverished people in Corpus Christi. For example, there's going to be fees on animal care and shelter in Corpus Christi. So the budget's going to go up to take care of this, but where are we getting those funds from? By putting fees on the community. And most of the time, if we look where these outbreaks of stray animals are, it is in the impoverished community. So it just feels like you're asking the impoverished community to pay to balance the budget. And that's only one example. There was at least 2-3 other ones.
Right.
So my main concern is that this is not a balanced budget. It's a heavily fee budget, and we're just trying to figure out how we're gonna come up with this. I wonder if we looked at any other options. For example, I know that the councilman this morning said that the police budget was pretty on par looking at similar cities. However, they have a mandated budget that we mandate, and there's just so many different other options. For example, instead of creating 5 more police officer jobs, maybe we can increase the training that they receive for handling disabled citizens. A lot of the arrests that are made or the charges of people being unwilling is really because there's a lack of understanding. And I think instead of putting 5 more untrained officers in those issues, maybe we should spend a majority of that budget trying to create an effective officer for our city. I guess like my last thing too is just the sidewalks. We talked about that and we don't have money for sidewalks, but that's why I'm saying like there's so many other options that we're refusing to take care of. And the only time we are raising the funds and budgets for anything that we the people want, it just seems like you're gonna charge we the people in fees. So I just wanted to clear that up.
That's good. Yeah, we appreciate that feedback. The budget has our 2 main revenue sources in the budget are property tax and sales tax, but this city, like many other across the country, have fees as well to help pay for the services. And the fees charged to usually a user group that is using and benefiting from, say, renting a park. And so the park is still open to the community, paid for from property tax. But if you're renting a pavilion or having a birthday party that may take additional staff to clean up, those user fees are something cities have used many times. So the fees that were mentioned in the budget, they were adjustments to keep up with inflationary costs to provide the service. And many of the recommended ones haven't been changed in a long time, many years. So the trade-off is if we don't have fee adjustments to pay for special use programming, then the other option is we cut the budget. We reduce things out of the budget. And in this budget, to get it balanced, we cut $4 million out of the budget, meaning $4 million of services that was once provided in the recommended budget will no longer be provided. So it's a balance of living within our means and looking at special use services where a small population uses it. So instead of burdening everybody by using, say, property tax, we charge a small assessment, if you will, to have that small group use the facility. But thank you for the comments. We've listening to them. By the way, our budget staff is here. And all these comments are being taken down and recorded, as well as the number of folks that are here. And so we'll report back to City Council on a weekly basis. We do have 3 of the 9 council members here, but we're going to be sharing information with the council and what we heard week by week, as well as sum it all up after the 7 meetings and give them a nice report as well. Thank you. Hey, Mr. Munster.
Mark Minster. I have a specific question about revenue for the city's getting. It's part of page 108. It's the industrial district agreements.
Right.
And I was wondering if there was like a more bigger breakdown, because the actual amount received in 2023-24 was 20.5, and on the budget it was supposed to be 25. And then it's going up this year, 25-26 to 32 million. And then thinking of that, at this last council meeting, they talked about how in like 5-6 years there's going to be an additional 50 million coming from more companies. So I'm just trying to understand like the bigger picture of the industrial agreement. So is there a bigger breakdown on like how those are calculated, why it came under budget last year or whatnot?
Yeah. So I'm going to give you a general answer, and then our budget table, which is directly, spend some time with them on the second portion of this meeting, because they're going to have the bigger detail. But for you and for the audience, the city has what we call industrial district agreements with large entities that are what we refer to as our industrial partners. And so entities like Valero and Citgo, they're outside the city limits, but they contribute to the city what we call a pilot in lieu of taxes. And they pay revenue to the city even though they don't get city services. And so we don't provide any fire services. We generally don't respond with police. Most of those streets are outside the city limits, so we don't pave streets. They don't really use our parks, per se, the entity. But across Texas, this notion of an industrial district agreement exists, and it's a way for big corporations to contribute to a city like Corpus Christi. Last year, we spent a good part of a year in renegotiating the district agreements, and a big benefit to this community with Heather Holbert's help and others is that we moved the payment of 62.5% of their property, what would be a property tax bill, to 74.5%, generating in this budget $7 million more revenue. So that's the change, Mr. Munster. That changed from year to year because of growth in the value. But the big difference this year is their payment went from 62.5% of the property tax bill to almost 75%. That's a huge win for us here, especially since those industrial partners don't use city services. So it's a good win-win. Keeps the industry here because they're not paying 100%, but it gives us a lot of revenue that we can use to keep fees low, to keep our parks open, to add police and firefighters. Our budget team, though, right behind our AV team there, will help you with more information. Good question. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
We have time. Sorry. We have time for one more question.
Yeah, Maggie Peacock. I live in District 2, but I'm going to miss the next couple of budget sessions, so I thought I would show up today. Yeah, mine's just kind of like a simple question. In all honesty, talks about like revenue and budgets. Like, it kind of goes over my head sometimes, but I'm really trying to understand it because, I mean, like you said yourself, it is really important. But kind of bouncing off of Mark and like what you were saying about like the pilot fees and the IDAs. So what I've heard this morning in the workshop and then also like here, so our budget is $7 million lower than last year. I'm also hearing a lot of concern about fees in various aspects for community members. So my question is just like, if we were to dissolve IDAs and annex the heavy industry, could we reallocate that extra tax revenue into like community-owned funds to cover like these fees that we're talking about tonight?
Can you say that last part, Ms. Peacock? I couldn't get the...
Yeah, so like if we were to like dissolve IDAs and annex the heavy industry,
right.
if that extra tax revenue could cover things like fees that a lot of community members are concerned about.
Right, so Ms. Peacock's question, in case you couldn't hear, is that, and a follow-up from Mr. Munster, is that the industrial district agreement is 74.5% of the property tax payment that they would have otherwise made. So that difference of about, say, 25%, Ms. Peacock's saying if we cancel the IDAs and annex them into the city, would we get that revenue? It'd probably be 10, 15 million, and what will we do with it? So under that scenario, a couple things to consider. One, if we did annex them into the city, we would have to provide services by law. And so that means we would have to build fire stations that would have about an 8-minute response time. We probably, I forget how many we calculated, we need several fire stations. We would now have to respond with police service. We would have to start paving roads. And those are just a few things. So we did that analysis, and it's almost that if we did annex them, it's a net loss to the city because of the cost to provide basic services that state law requires us to do. So that's the trade-off we worked. And the good news for people like yourself and our community that's here today is the city team worked hard with the industrial partners, and they were willing to contribute more than 10% more in revenue to the city. And in this budget alone, what is the increase, Heather? It's 34 from 25 or so. And so 9 million more in 1 year. And that'll continue to go up as their value goes up and if they expand their plant. So, and then Ms. Peacock, we do have, who has our budget and brief document? Is that one there? Huh? Not quite ready? We do have, Ms. Peacock has a fair point, which is that this budget can be complicated even for a college student like Ms. Peacock. And so we've tried to make it simple for our community. We have a lot of information on our website. We had that video you saw. We also have, and the team is bringing me a copy here because this is something I encourage, if you take nothing else from here today, take one of these before you leave. But this is a nice, simple budget and brief, as I call it. Just a small pamphlet, a couple of pages there, a couple of 8 pages, and it'll kind of, Ms. Peacock will help you understand the budget. So grab one of these on your way out, please, and then go to our website as well and see if we have some other additional information that'll help you with the budget. Do we have time for one more question?
Sure.
We're going to take one more question, and then we'll move out to our second phase of this,
right.
which is engaging with our teammates behind us.
Try to make it brief. This is on behalf of the library system.
Okay, great.
You look at the Texas Library and Archives Commission database, you'll see the standards and the data that are used to accredit public libraries throughout the state of Texas. And I just want to give you some examples here. Revenues for our library system range between 37 and 58% below the state average for public libraries. Salaries and wages per capita for our personnel at the library is 57% below the state average. Materials expenditures, those are your collections, your books and your videos and those sorts of things, 45% below the state average. The square footage of your facilities, 66% below the state average. The data also tell us that our staff at the libraries serve 2,029 people more than the average across the state. That's 53% higher. Now, these numbers that I'm quoting are the same numbers that were used back in 2017 or 18 when the library board filed a report using the same data, the same standards, showing us substantially the same deficiencies in funding the library system in the state. Personnel numbers haven't changed. So it leads me to the question of what's the plan? The recommendation was made back in 17 or 18. There was not one comment from the mayor, from the city manager, from anybody on the council about that thing.
Right.
We said, bring us up to the state average. Just bring us up that high. And not a word from anybody on that. And still the numbers say, you guys are teetering right on the edge of losing your accreditation for your library system. So the question is, what's the plan?
Yeah,
what are you going to do about it?
That's a great question, and I'm glad you asked that. The 2017, I wasn't here yet, but in 2019, I wasn't here either. But in the last 6 years, we have added to the library budget each of the 5 prior budgets I have, and the city council has approved that as part of the budget. So we do need a community conversation on libraries. As the gentleman said, we're below state averages. We have 6 libraries, the downtown library and then 5 branches. And 2 of our branches are in an outdated business model, which is that they're on a school campus, a CCISD in Flower Bluff Elementary High School campus, which is not safe anymore. And in fact, the state prohibits that commingling of students. So this community has to have this conversation about what do we want to be in terms of library. What do we want to have in terms of library services? Of the libraries, already 2 of them need to be replaced to get them off the school campuses. The plan we have is that we're doing that right now, maybe slower than what some like. In City Council District 5, the Garcia Library, which is on the campus of the, what's the name of that school, you guys? The Caffey Middle School. That one in the bond program approved by voters last November, we have monies for land acquisition and design to replace that library, to make it a bigger facility, and on separate property off of a school. We have to do the same thing eventually on Flower Bluff. That library on the 11th, this coming Monday, at the request of the district, and we agreed with them, we're gonna have to change our operating hours to make it safe for their students. So we have to have the same conversation about Flower Bluff. We need lots of money to build another library. The island has no library. There's no library in the island. We are accredited, which is good, and we've maintained that accreditation. And again, over the past 5 budgets that I've recommended and council has approved, we've increased funding for library. We've added staff, we've added resources, we've added maintenance to the budget. So we're doing good, but we're not doing as good as we could if we had more money. So the gentleman's point is a good one, which is that the community, this is a community conversation, a community effort. We have to continue to talk about that, and we have to hear from the community how important are the libraries to the community. And we've heard it a little bit to where we're, in the bond program, we included that new library for the Garcia replacement. But if we were in Flower Bluff tonight, I'm sure a lot of us would be up here at the mic saying, we need a new library like right now. So we got to keep working on it. So with that, Ms. Elisa, I think I'm gonna turn it back over to you to tell us the next step. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. We're going to transition now to the open house part of our program, which means we've just got folks back here that can walk around and talk to you and connect with you one-on-one. So please make yourselves comfortable.